All right, it's time to make some tamales. I'm not going to talk in this whole video except for one part where I talk about my calibrated papers. And otherwise though, here's how you do it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and boil some chili pods. And after those cook
for about 45 minutes.
I'm going to go ahead and add in some fresh veggies. So we're talking, you know, more peppers and some tomatoes and onions, you know. If you want to go green chili, don't put in the red stuff and just put in green stuff, but make sure you got like tomatillos and you can throw some tomatoes in there too, but if you add too many, it's going to get all brown. So, you know, if you want it green, keep it green. If you want it red, you can definitely keep some green in there because that red's going to overtake. As you'll see, I'm throwing in basically a garlic bulb and tomatoes, whole onion, jalapenos, Anaheim chilies, and a couple habaneros. And habaneros and some serranos and jalapenos because they're delicious. You got to have those in there just for some heat. You know, you don't want it to be all colorful but not spicy. It's got to have a little spice. Spice is nice. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and boil that up. Whenever it's done, throw that into the blender with some of the water. I'm gonna keep the water though, because later on I'm gonna shred the pork in it. I'm gonna go ahead and make some pork tamales, make chicken, beef, whatever. You can put cheese in them. I mean, I think in South America they do some sweeter kind of stuff. I know I've had some before from someone who's from Guatemala, and they had like wrapped tamales in banana leaves or plantain leaves. So that was an interesting take on it. Instead of the corn husks. Still good. Not really my style. I like this kind of style. There's instructions on the package for the masa, honestly. If you want to know how to make tamales, that's how you do it. But if you want to make some tasty sauce, this is how you do it. You can go ahead, boil that stuff up, throw it in the blender, blend it up, season the taste, right? You need some salt. You put whatever seasonings you want in there, but all you really need is salt if you want to bring out the flavor of the chilies. And yeah. Now we're gonna go ahead and fry this pork. I'm putting in oil. You could use lard, because what we're gonna do with all this oil and stuff that we're making up is use that in the masa later, because you have to have water, fat, baking powder, and salt. In my opinion, if you got some real porky lard that's already been seasoned, you don't really need a lot of salt in there. It's kind of up to you. Mix it up, taste it. You can do that. It's not gonna hurt nothing. All those fats are cooked, so you're good. Right here, I'm just gonna try and brown as many sides of this pork. It's totally frozen when I put it in here, but I'm gonna try and brown as many sides of it as possible. And then we're gonna go ahead, after that's all browned up, I'm gonna pour this still partially frozen pork out, set it aside for just a minute. I'm gonna sit there and cook that oil for a few minutes just to make sure that whatever pork, raw pork stuff was left in there, if there was, it's gonna go ahead and cook up with the oil and the fats, and that way you don't gotta worry about no foodborne illness or anything like that. Take that off, dump out that oil, and then we're gonna go ahead and put our pork back in there. Then we're gonna add our water from our boiled chilies. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and boil that until it's cooked all the way through and we can cut it up. So now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and take the sauce that I made, that I've seasoned and tasted already. And I'm gonna pour that in there, and then I'm gonna simmer this for
about 45 minutes.
And the whole reason for that is it's just gonna make it easy to shred that meat. It's my theory that all those extra acids and whatnot from the chilies help break down the meat and really help it shred up nice. Like you'll see after we let this sit for a few minutes. Okay, here we go. This is a Rubbermaid, I don't know what you want to call it. It's not really a spatula, but something you'd use for like cookies or whatnot. But yeah, go ahead and I'm breaking up that pork with this, right? And then after it's all broken up and shredded real good, let it simmer for another little while, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. And then we'll let this sit overnight. You don't have to let it sit overnight at all. You can just take it off the burner, take it out of the pan, let it cool. Basically though, the longer it sits in there, the better it's gonna taste. I mean, to a point. Let it sit in there for a week or something, but unless it's refrigerated, you can totally do that. All right, so now start making the masa. Put in the water, corn flour. Right now when I'm doing this in maths, my son has type 1 diabetes and his pancreas shut down and doesn't produce insulin, right? So he's got to take insulin shots. So yeah, because of that, we need to know how many carbs are in there. Also, he's also got celiac disease, which is the actual reason why some people can't eat gluten. Basically, it strips polyps out of your intestinal tract and prevents you from absorbing nutrients. So over time, you'll die if left untreated. Celiac disease is actually a real problem for people, but that's the real reason why gluten-free stuff exists. Not for people who are like, oh, my tummy hurts. Like, okay, if you're gluten sensitive, whatever, my son literally can't have it or it'll kill him. Okay, autoimmune disease, just like type 1 diabetes. So, all right. But yeah, anyway, doing some maths. So, and figure out how many grams of masa is in a serving, which serving's a quarter cup. So since we need 4 cups of masa, what we're gonna do is take that, 30 grams times 16, the total amount that we need for this dish. So instead of using measuring cups, I'm just gonna pour it into this bowl and measure it up in grams because that's way easier in my opinion. All right, so after we know that, now what we're gonna do is mix in the water and the lard, which I'm remembering, I absolutely do not have baking soda or corn husks. So now I'm gonna set this aside and go get that stuff and come back to it later. So a few hours later, I go ahead and heat this masa up so I can mix this baking powder in there a little better. I'm gonna mix that in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and weigh this stuff, right, with all the water and all that mixed into it. And then I'm gonna take the total amount of carbs per the amount of servings that we put in there. So 16 times whatever, 23, divide that by the total amount of grams that we've made, right, for our masa. And that'll tell us how many grams of carbs per gram of masa we have, which we're gonna need because whenever we're measuring out our masa to make our tamales with, I'm gonna use a 1/3 cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh the masa that's in the 1/3 cup, and then I'm gonna multiply that by the total amount of carbs per gram, and that is gonna give us the amount of carbs per tamale, minus the sauce, which is gonna have some carbs in it, but probably not much. It's way harder to figure that out because like the chili pods don't have any nutritional facts on the packaging. I don't know how they're considered food without that because I thought in America you had to have that to be sold as food, but hey, whatever. They're imported from Mexico, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but either way, don't know. Honestly, I've figured it out for vegetables that I can find information on, and it does not really matter. You're talking like 5 or 6 grams of carb per serving. And since it's type 1 diabetes, you got to count all the carbs, not net carbs, okay? That's just how that works, but whatever. Anyway, so let me go ahead and figure that out. Now, I'm gonna do some variables, right? It's about 84 grams equals whatever, 23 grams of carbs per tamale. So do some variations of that, and it looks like it'll be somewhere around 21 point something, 22, let's call it, to like 23, 25 per tamale. So I'm just gonna say at the end of the day, it's about 28 grams of carbs per tamale with the meat. Then I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna start the assembly line. So I take a third cup of masa, put that on the tamale, use another husk, flatten that out by hand until it's about the shape that I like. I'm gonna put a quarter cup of the meat in there and then roll it up, right? Roll it over, fold the end, put it in the pan. And then I'm gonna do that for all of them, which you can watch right here. Tell me, you see my cow cert? Tell me when it expires, because I gotta say, if you're not measuring like corn husk to this ratio and figuring out how many that would actually make, just must have some calibrated eyeballs, because everything about that worked out perfectly well. And then here's the whole pan. And I don't know if you can tell, but as I say, I don't know if you can see the cal certs in my eyeballs, but yeah, calibrated eyeballs. Perfect amount of masa per corn husk. Yeah, there's some leftover meat, but hey, that's like a bonus. I'm glad I didn't use all that up. Let me go ahead and eat that with chips or something. Anywho, hope you enjoyed. That's how I make tamales. Super duper bomb. Try it out for yourself. They're fun. They're a pain, but they're fun. They taste super good when they're done. You know, steam them for like 45 minutes or 50 minutes. I did, because I got like a full pan here. You need a steaming pan. That's the one thing. They make pans specifically for making a lot of tamales, where you can like double stack them and stuff, but then it's kind of a pain to get water all the way down to the bottom, whatever. I use just the steamer pan setup. You know, you can probably find on Amazon, it's pretty cheap. Maybe you can find one at the store. I don't know, Bed Bath & Beyond. I have no clue where you would buy something like that. Anyway, hope this helps. Hope this was kind of fun to watch. Check it out, making tamales. I'm gonna post some more cooking stuff on here, a bunch of random stuff, just whatever, you know, like, watch, subscribe, do whatever you want. Don't watch, hey, whatever you want to do. Anyway, later.